Good morning. My name is Kate Franta, your worship associate, and on behalf of First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, Delaware, I welcome you to our online worship service. Unitarian Universalism is a church without doctrine that embraces radical welcoming to all. We follow 7 principles, the first of which is that we respect the inherent worth and dignity of all people. All who are doubting, all who are believing, we greet you with open hearts. And now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come, come, whoever you are, condemned, worshipper, lover of living, ours is no worshipper, lover is living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, whoever you are, condemned, worshipper, lover of living, ours is no worshipper, lover is living. Come yet again, come.
Good morning. My name's Dave Harrell, and I'm a worship associate of the church. Our call to worship this morning comes from Erica Hewitt. All of us are loved, all of us are welcome here, and all of us are loved. Some of us are bringing our best selves to this space, and some of us are bringing our struggling selves, including pieces we might be ashamed of. All of us are welcome here, and all of us are loved. Some of us already have open hearts, and some of us aren't quite there yet because our hearts have gotten a little beat up this year, and we may have forgotten how to trust and open up. Your heart is welcome here, no matter how bruised. We welcome you among us. All of us are imperfect, but we're here to drop our defenses and trust that what happens in worship is powerful and life-giving. Together we affirm that this day, our being together, can make us each braver, more compassionate, and wiser than when we woke up this morning. Come, let us worship together.
If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to join me by lighting it to these words. We are together again with this flame. May we find rest. May peace surround us. May harmony and ease accompany our time together this day.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, spirits draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the
Please join me in affirming our mission. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action. Our tale for today is I Can Show You I Care, Compassionate Touch for Children. This story is from a book written by Susan Cotta and illustrated by Gregory Crawford. One day, Patrick and his dog Clarence were playing hide-and-go-seek in their backyard. His father was busy raking leaves, and Patrick couldn't wait to jump into the pile. As Patrick was running, he fell over a tree root and bumped his knee. He started to cry. His knee really hurt. "Are you okay, Patrick?" "My knee hurts a lot, Dad." Patrick's dad gently put his hands around his knee. "Your knee's going to be all right." It felt good to have his father's hands on his knee. His dad's eyes were closed. Patrick breathed deeply and closed his eyes too. "Dad, what's happening?" asked Patrick. "It's getting warm. It's feeling better." Dad smiled. "My mom did this for me when I hurt myself. Her caring thoughts came through her hands and took the pain away. I'm bringing warmth like sunshine through my hands and into your knee. These days, it's called compassionate touch." "Can I do it too?" Patrick asked. "Sure, anyone can." His father ruffled his hair. "Make sure it's okay first, and then put your hands either on or near the hurt place, and think good thoughts. Maybe like playing with Clarence or a bright rainbow of colors, anything that makes you happy." "You mean like horses running in the wind?" asked Patrick. "You got it," said his father. That night, Patrick remembered what his father had done to his knee, and it had felt good. Maybe he could help when his friends got hurt, like when Billy pushed Cassandra down at recess last week. On the way home, Billy and his tough friends had chased Patrick and Raphael on their bikes, taunting them. "Ha ha, Raphael can't read, he's a dummy," they yelled. It was scary. Patrick wondered if he could get kids at school to do compassionate touch. Would they laugh? Suddenly, he sat up in bed. "I know. I'll ask Mrs. Pendleton if I can do it for show and tell tomorrow." With that, Patrick settled down to sleep. The next day, Patrick couldn't wait for show and tell. When Mrs. Pendleton called the children into their circle, Patrick stood proudly by her side with Raphael. "Patrick has something very special to share with us today," said Mrs. Pendleton. "Let's be good listeners." "When I hurt my knee yesterday, my dad showed me something that really helped." Patrick looked mysteriously at his friends in the circle. "He told me it was called compassionate touch, a healing method that's been around for years." "What's that?" asked Joshua. "Well, it's a way to help someone feel better. It shows you care. You put your hands on or near the hurt place and think positive thoughts. This creates energy which you can let flow into your hands, and it's awesome. The spot gets really warm." If Raphael hurt his knee, I could put my hands like this on his knee, or like this, or if it hurt too much for me to put them directly on his knee, I could hold them above. "Why would we do that?" asked Billy. "I think it's dumb. I don't want to touch anybody." Mrs. Pendleton smiled patiently. "Sometimes people get hurt. We want to help, but we don't know what to do." "That's right," said Amy. "Sometimes I don't know how to help when things go wrong or someone falls down." Well, I hurt my hand playing baseball yesterday, said Jose, and no one even noticed. Yesterday, Cassandra hurt her elbow when Billy pushed her down, said Catherine. She was in my way, Billy snapped. All right, children, we dealt with that yesterday. That's one kind of hurt, a physical one. Can you think of any other ways we feel hurt? Asked Mrs. Pendleton. Zachary raised his hand. No one ever lets me play dodgeball, and that hurts my feelings. Yes, our feelings get hurt, Mrs. Pendleton said. We want to show we care when someone is hurting on the inside or on the outside. Anyone want to try? Asked Mrs. Pendleton. She could hear her class beginning to get excited. Allie shouted, I'll try it. Me too, said Mandy. Dawn and Zachary chimed in, me too, me too. Gail and Joshua were already trying out compassionate touch on each other. Mrs. Pendleton quieted her class. She paired up the boys and girls. Let's all put both hands around your partner's elbow. Bring the energy from your thoughts into your hands. You might even want to close your eyes to concentrate. And the room became very still as they worked. I can feel my elbow heating up, exclaimed Joshua. My hands are starting to buzz, said Gail. Yeah, that's what I felt when my dad held my knee, said Patrick. After a while, Mrs. Pendleton called them together again. Boys and girls, you did a great job. If you were the giver, what kinds of things did you imagine? I brought a rainbow from the sky into my hands, said Mandy. I have an idea. Let's do a class project on compassionate touch, said Mrs. Pendleton. For the rest of the afternoon, the class cut out hands and figures. The next day, Mrs. Pendleton was all smiles as she stood in front of their brand new bulletin board. Now, she said, don't forget, every time you show you care by doing an act of compassionate touch, choose a cutout and stick it anywhere on this bulletin board. And let's see how many different people we can affect with compassionate touch. During recess, Billy angrily yelled at Catherine, You tattletale, why'd you have to get me in trouble again? You're mean. I hate you. Billy stomped over to his friends and glared at her. Catherine started crying. Patrick and Raphael walked over. Is it okay if we do compassionate touch on you? Patrick asked softly. Okay, Catherine sniffled, and they put their hands on her shoulders. Catherine took a deep breath and stopped crying. Slowly, she started to feel better. Her shoulders were feeling warm. Thanks, guys. That really helped. Patrick and Raphael were very proud to be the first ones to stick their helping hands on the bulletin board. On their way home, Cassandra and Allie noticed Billy and his friends playing baseball. All of a sudden, smack! Billy got hit on the wrist by a fastball. Ow! He yelled. Billy grabbed his wrist and fell to the ground. The game stopped. Nobody knew what to do. Come on, Allie, said Cassandra. Let's help Billy. Billy? Why should we help him? You know, our class project, Allie, compassionate touch. All right, but you have to do it, Allie said reluctantly. Cassandra approached Billy, who was still on the ground. He was crying. I can help you, Billy, if you'll let me. Billy shrugged. Cassandra reached down and held Billy's wrist. After a while, Billy started to move his wrist. It felt pretty good. He looked up at Cassandra. Thanks, he said grudgingly. As time went on, Patrick noticed that one by one, person at a time, people were starting to change. Over the next few weeks, Mrs. Pendleton felt a different mood in the classroom. When Catherine's pencil broke, Raphael got her another. Gail had a nosebleed during reading circle, and Mandy brought her the Kleenex box. What a better place this classroom is becoming, Mrs. Pendleton thought to herself. A month later, at the end of the day, Billy shyly walked up to the bulletin board and placed a blue hand on it. And he thought to himself, this isn't so bad. Patrick saw him and was impressed. Big changes had happened in their classroom. Person by person, people were beginning to show one another empathy. What would it be like if kids all over started to show they really cared? It might change the world. What would it be like if we could all show each other that we cared? Or if we experienced that others cared for us as we went about our day? So many of us are isolated right now. We don't even get much interaction with others. Let's do a shared practice right now, sending ourselves compassion wherever you may be. Go ahead and sit comfortably. You might want your feet flat on the ground. Now place your own hands gently on your chest over your heart. Breathe deeply a few times and let all of your thoughts fall away. Turn your attention to your hands and picture something that makes you smile, that brings you joy, right there at your heart. It might be a kitten or a puppy. It might be a flower or a mountain or the ocean. Bring that image right to your heart and rest comfortably with it there. Now, if you feel like you have the resources, take your hands from your heart and offer that compassion out into the world. Now I invite you to say or type in the chat box the names of those who need the care and compassion of this community, of those who are on your hearts and minds. Anthony. May those named aloud, written, or in our hearts find the care and compassion that they need at this time.
A Recipe for Resilience by Margaret Weiss. This recipe has been tweaked over time, so adjust as necessary. Sometimes it yields more servings, sometimes less. Sometimes it needs a bit more of this ingredient or a bit more of that. It comes from generations who have come before me, and I've added my own flavor along the way. A Recipe for Resilience is 1 part courage, 2 parts tears of failure and doubt, 1 part deep listening, 1 part of both silence and laughter, a dash of trust, a pinch of wonder, a heaping scoop of naps and snacks. In a separate bowl, mix together family, friends, those who challenge you to be your best self, and those with whom you disagree. Add slowly to a larger pot a bay leaf for, well, whatever it is bay leaves do. Let it simmer for as long as you need. Keep the heat at an even temperature, hot enough to cook throughout, but not so hot that it burns the bottom. Can be served at room temperature, warm, or even cold if necessary. Serve alongside your favorite fluffy blanket, dog, cat, or other soft item. Make often, share with others. Hold on to the leftovers. You'll need them after a long day that challenges your soul. Never could I have imagined delivering a live presentation to a brand new, beautifully remodeled, and completely empty sanctuary. It's just plain sad. So I want you to know that we miss you, and we are so thankful you can join with us this morning. This morning we have 6 of us here to make this worship happen. We as a congregation and as a nation are in a funk right now of epic proportions. Every morning when I wake up, the first thing that pops into my head is, oh man, COVID. I know my day will continue to be different and unusual like they all have been since March. My dreams have even become surreal. Not even my beloved coffee, breakfast, and orange juice can fully revive my spirits because I know I will have to practice social distancing and wear a mask if I am to venture out. Unfortunately, the death toll from the virus continues to grow, and our economy is teetering as many people are out of work while many others are receiving subsidies to stay afloat and help prop up our economy. Coupled with the pandemic are the double standards that have plagued our friends of color for centuries. We recently watched footage of George Floyd being slowly suffocated in front of our very eyes by those entrusted to protect us. We also witnessed snippets of Ahmaud Arbery being harassed and killed while out on a morning jog in a suburban Georgia neighborhood. Charges on all the alleged perpetrators in both incidents coming very late and only after much protest. And just this week, we watched video of Jacob Black being shot in the back 7 times by Wisconsin police. Equality in America is still just a hope and not a reality. To add insult to injury, we find our nation being led by one of the most duplicitous leaders our country has ever seen. We listen in disbelief and wonderment at the words he speaks, not knowing if it's fact, fiction, or fantasy. Every day seems to bring about new revelations of questionable judgment and unprecedented behavior, as demonstrated by the recent superfluous post office changes. Our democracy is starting to look more and more like an autocracy. Couple all of that with an election year with so much on the line, and it's enough to make your head spin. November cannot come soon enough. We must all be proactive and spread the word to everyone about the importance of voting. Every vote matters. After a while, these thoughts and feelings start to take a toll on us. We are beaten down by the sights that we see, the words we've heard, and the isolation we face. We're saddened by the lack of compassionate interaction with our friends and family, and we're concerned about the potential longevity of the current situation. If you're thinking similar thoughts, it's important to know that you are not alone. A recent Census Bureau survey found that 1 in 3 Americans are reporting symptoms of depression and anxiety more than 3 times the rate from a similar survey conducted in the first half of 2019. Former First Lady Michelle Obama recently revealed in a blog that she's suffering from low-grade depression. The reason, she says, is the pandemic, race relations, and the political strife surrounding it all, saying, "I'm waking up in the middle of the night because I'm worrying about something, or there's this heaviness. I try to make sure I get a workout in, although there's been periods throughout this quarantine where I've just felt too low to work out." She's also frustrated by Americans not wanting to wear masks, saying, "It's almost like there's a limit to our sacrifice. And it was about a month, and then people just got tired of the virus. It's been disheartening to see so many people who have grown tired of staying at home because the virus didn't impact them." She goes on to say, "We are living through something that no one in our lifetime has ever gone through. The idea that what this country is going through shouldn't have any effect on us, that we should just all feel okay all the time, that just doesn't feel real to me." She says it's important to allow yourself to know what you're feeling, unquote. Michael Phelps, the most successful and decorated Olympian of all time with a total of 28 medals, 23 of which are gold, is now married and a father of 3. He recently shared his thoughts in a live interview, saying, "The pandemic has been a challenge I never expected. All the uncertainty, being cooped up in the house, and the questions, so many questions. When's it going to end? What will life look like when it's over? Am I doing everything I can to be safe and keep my family safe? This is the most overwhelmed I've ever felt in my life. That's why there are times when I don't want to be me." He says the way he copes is to get back to the gym every day, to exercise, and says it's important to take a step back and a deep breath. Go back to square one and ask yourself, where are these emotions coming from? Why am I so angry? He finds comfort in writing these feelings down in a daily journal. He says, "There are times when I don't think it can get any worse. And then Boomer, my 4-year-old, will give me a hug and just say he loves me. When you absolutely least expect it, it's literally the greatest thing in the world." Another way he has found solace is by giving. The Michael Phelps Foundation has committed grants to add social-emotional curriculum as part of the IM program he created for boys and girls clubs throughout America. Lastly, he says his kids can fall down, hit their head, cry a bit, and 30 seconds later, they're all running around the room laughing again. They've moved on. They're resilient. They live in the moment. That's what we all need to do, live in the moment, unquote. So how can we continue to deal with this, and when will it end? When can I see my mother again, who is quarantined in a Florida retirement home? When can I hug my recently widowed father again without him having to worry about getting sick? Some of the answers can be found from others before us. John Lennon is quoted as saying, "There are two basic motivating forces. 1, fear, 2, love. We are afraid. When we are afraid, we pull back from life. When we're in love, we open to all that life has to offer with passion, excitement, and acceptance. We need to learn to love ourselves first in all our glory and all our imperfections. All hopes for a better world rest in the fearless and open-hearted vision of people who embrace life." Mahatma Gandhi said, "When every hope is gone, when helpers fail and comforts flee, I find that help arrives somehow from I know not where. Supplication, worship, prayer are no superstition. They are acts more real than the acts of eating, drinking, sitting, or walking. It's no exaggeration to say that they alone are real. All else is unreal. And the great Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "I have decided to stick to love. Hate is too great a burden to bear." Unquote. We can also find peace and comfort in literature, books that accentuate positivity and wholesomeness and make us feel good and take our minds off of our current situation. So basically, no POTUS books. No POTUS. I'm pleading with Bill Watterson, the author of Calvin and Hobbes, to rekindle his humorous writings and bring back to life Calvin and his friends. Nothing can relieve stress and tension more than a good laugh. We can also find happiness and comfort in our pets by loving the heck out of them, with lots of companionship as they give us back wagging tails and purring sounds of unconditional love. So the answer to our problems lie in every one of us. Your loving spoonful can be found from the words and sentiments just spoken in this sermon. Here's a refresher. Love, compassion, resilience, worship, humor, companionship, physical activity, prayer, family, emotional awareness, giving. These are more than just words, but can be incredible sources of strength and emotional fortitude, strong enough to conquer any obstacle in its path and formidable enough to move a nation. With this awareness, we must remain committed in continuing our quest for equality, compassion, dignity, and the pursuit of truth and transparency while fighting for our democracy. We must work to make it so and never, ever give up. Renowned philosopher Confucius said it best, "I think our greatest glory is not in falling, but in rising every time we fall." Amen. Blessed be.
We would be one, as now we join in singing our hymn of love, to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other, to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
This is the time in the service when we have a stewardship moment. If you give to First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, Delaware, I invite you now to type into the chat box why. Why do you give? What inspires you? Is it the small group ministry? Is it the Sunday worship experience, whether in person or streaming? Is it the religious exploration for our children and youth? Or is it that we have built together a welcoming community that fully includes you, just as you are, wherever you are on your path, even if you are hurting or feel down or isolated? Last week, Reverend Pamela Watt closed the service focusing on these words: justice, beauty, creativity, and love. That is what I find here at First U, and that is something to support. Please see your screen for the 3 ways to give: the church website, or via the Give Plus app, or an old-fashioned check in the mail are all options. We are also asking you to give a photo or a very short video to the church this week. Why? Well, we are celebrating In-Gathering in 2 weeks, and this is historically our kickoff for the church year and our religious exploration program for our children and youth. We all gather together again after our summer adventures, which may or may not have been quite as adventurous this year. This year, we want to see us all virtually gathered, so please send a photo or a short video of you or your family in a nonverbal greeting to this website, connection@firstuuwilm.org. That's connection@firstuuwilm.org. Let's help make In-Gathering an incredible, inclusive celebration, even as we meet while streaming. And now, please join me in dedicating our offering. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these, our offerings.
To my loved ones and relations, with me in spirit every day, and to neighbors I have not yet met, close to home or far away. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me. To my friends who make music, sharing joy both far and wide, and to those who we depend on, to teach, to heal, and to guide. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me. To all who hear this message, to stranger and to friend, here's an embrace of music until we meet again. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me. Be safe, wash your hands, you mean the world to me. Be safe, stay at home, you mean the world to me.
To be be praised by only one voice. May you have the courage to sing your part. The world is too broken to be healed by only one set of hands. May you have the courage to use your gifts. May you go in peace.
We extinguish our chalice flame with a renewed commitment to bring something of its glow into our daily lives and out into the world.
Which way is left? Which way is right? I'm losing my mind, staying inside. Everyone is going through it every day, every night. But I know that things will be alright. Just you wait and see. Soon we'll be out and we'll be free. Tomorrow it'll be a better day. We need to keep on loving this way. Tomorrow